Leader skills are by far the most important thing in Dokkan, but because some units have amazing leader skills, not every unit has to be a viable leader to be a good card. Over the course of Dokkan's 10 years of history, there have been tons of meta-shifting leader skills that changed the game forever. I want to talk about 10 of them that I think were the most influential and powerful. These leader skills all helped the game get to where it is today. Now, getting straight into it, we've got number 10. This first spot has to go to INT Demon King Piccolo back in 2015. Back in this time period, you couldn't level links and super attacks were genuinely hard to activate with most units. There were no support memories and items were hard to get. This INT Demon King Piccolo didn't even have a Dokkan awakening, but the fact that he gave Ki +2 to everyone while debuffing enemies made him the best leader in the game, all because he made getting 12 keys slightly more possible for every unit in the game. This unit essentially made the developers and fans of the game realize how important getting a key boost from a leader skill really is. Ever since this point on, any unit meant to be a leader gave Ki +3 to their team except for one small group that was supposed to be the Neo demigod leads of their time, but unfortunately ended up being a bit of a flop even despite their insanely inflated stats and HP. This was of course since getting supers off was too much of a struggle again, so even if you had all these extra stats, it's no use if you can't use them to their full potential. I do sort of miss this experimental side of Dokkan. Nowadays we kind of have to stick to a certain formula or everything falls apart from power creep or isn't viable and people forget about it. I think Dokkan is at a point where they can't really mess up or everyone is angry, so they aren't able to experiment the same way as they used to. There's two things I know for sure. Number one is that they always pull through in the end and deliver something amazing despite all the pressure, and number two is that 97% of my viewers are not subscribed even though we're super close to 10k. Anyways, moving on to number 9, we have got to talk about how 2016 had 3 different metas in the same year. Not only the birth of percentage boost leader skills, but also 2 different types of rainbow leader skills. First of all, let's get STR Gogeta out of the way since we all knew it was coming with this type of video. I've talked about him many times and his leader skill during early 2016 was unstoppable. There was no reason to not have Gogeta as your leader. He was the best card in the game and led every single unit in the game. No matter who your favorite unit was, you could use them on his team. He wasn't just number 1 in the game, he was the game. Dokkan had to go out of their way to help players find a reason to run anyone else but Gogeta as their leader, and that reason came in the form of AGL Vegito. He was not only the perfect opposite to Gogeta, he was better. Percentage boost had not yet been properly used when creating leader skills, but Vegito and the other mono leads came to fix that. Vegito was released boasting one of the most game-changing boosts in the game's history, 3 key and 70% to all stats including HP, which not only allowed players to finally have over 100,000 HP, but to reach as high as nearly 300,000 HP. AGL teams quickly soared to the top since they instantly had a huge advantage over anything else in the game, and as the other mono leads released, so did their teams. But even though Vegito was the first, he remained number 1 all the way up until the only unit who was better than him finally arrived. The only person that could stop AGL Vegito was Vegito Blue. VB released alongside Goku Black Rose in late 2016. Rose was the biggest unit extreme types ever got, and as history goes, sadly that stayed true for quite a long time. But we're here to talk about their leader skills. Even though their percentages were downgrades, they still offered 3 key and 50% boost to all stats for their respective sides. Vegito Blue led all super types while Rose led all the villains. These two instantly became the best leaders in the game and were partly responsible for making Dokkan realize that giving us more creativity with our teams was a great idea, since it was a lot of fun to run all kinds of characters against difficult events that changed types as the battle went on. And remember earlier when I told you about those leaders that flopped? Those were also released in 2016, and despite their 100% boost to all stats, people still used VB, Rose, and Super Vegeta over all of them just for the 3 key boost. Now, for number 8, we've got one of the craziest, most influential leaders in the game's history. This leader skill came out about 8 months into 2017 after all the 120 mono leads were finished coming out, and I'm sure many of you are already falling off the edge of your chairs because you know who I'm talking about. It's of course SSJ4 Gogeta. His leader skill was so OP, Global Dokkan had to wait a few months before it was released since it would have ruined the releases of the remaining 120 leads. Gogeta and Omega Shenron literally introduced the category system to the game. The Shadow Dragon Saga team was actually quite good, but leading the Fusion Dance category during this time period was even better, since old cards like STR Gogeta could come back and be just as dominant, since damage was all that really mattered, and even if a boss could hurt you, you had Gotenks to seal and Gogeta to nullify supers with a counter. All of these amazing units with 150% boost to all stats was definitely one of the biggest power creep moments in this game's history. Later on, we had units that tried to be different, like INT Angel Frieza, who had a solid category in Resurrected Warriors, but only buffed HP by 130% while boosting attack and defense by 170%. 150% HP was definitely the more powerful boost, because even if you lost some attack and defense, you can always gain more during battle. The one thing you can't increase during battle is health. Moving on to number 7, I think it's safe to skip over Tech VB and STR Rose. As cool as they weren't nearly as crazy of a release as the past few skills we've talked about. But someone who might be forgotten now used to be the villain leader post 3rd anniversary, and that is of course AGL Turles. This unit was a 3-key 150% to everything leader skill for movie bosses, meaning he led all the Coolers, Friezas, Janembas, and Brolys. This team was actually super popular during this time period, especially for World Tournament runs, since Broly finally had a villain team with a good leader skill to support him, on top of the 3-key and 40% attack support that Turles gave him from his passive. Even though villains never got the same love super types did, this leader skill gave fans of extreme types the team they always wanted and needed. Up next, we've got number 6, and for this spot I really couldn't decide between 4 units, but we've got STR First Form Cooler, one of the best and first dual category leaders. AGL Evo Vegeta, since he led Pure Saiyans, which was one of the best categories at that point. LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, since Goku's family was a really powerful category, especially with a 170% HP boost, which was amazing and rare. And finally, we've got AGL Gogeta Blue from the Broly movie celebration, who led movie heroes and the already powerful fusion category that had the 3rd anniversary Gogeta on it. These were all from the era where Dokkan was experimenting with categories, and these were definitely the most powerful of that era, especially with how they liked to randomly choose which cards got 130 or 150 or 170% to each stat. By the way, I've got tons of videos like this, so if you enjoy unique Dokkan content, make sure to subscribe and take a look around my channel. I'm sure you'll find something you like. For number 5, I have to mention that after this point, Dokkan didn't really make any moves to improve leader skills until well into the 5th year of Dokkan, and when full 170% leads did appear, they were only for one category, and it usually wasn't a very strong one. The 5th anniversary units had a very solid 150% lead for 2 categories, which did push some boundaries at the time. Good 170% leaders took a while longer to emerge, but when they did, it was MUI and Evo Vegeta who broke down that barrier. They also stayed as the best and most versatile leaders for the 6th year of Dokkan. No other units besides Namek Goku and Frieza even came close to having a full 170% leader skill for not 1, but 2 categories like MUI and Evo Vegeta. Number 4 is obviously going to have to go to the 7th anniversary LRs. They were the first ever 200% leaders in the game and essentially established the game's meta for the next 4 years. Not only did they give a base 170% to multiple categories, they also had a secondary leader skill that could buff those units by an additional 30% if they were included in the right categories. Teams could now reach well over 700,000 HP, which pushed Dokkan into its golden age where difficult content became the new hot topic. Number 3 is a tough one, since the era of 200% leader skills had many amazing teams, but I think there were 3 that really stood out. First of all, Future Saga, led by the amazing STR Future Gohan, had one of the strongest teams in the game. Not only did they have all the new units on this team, they also had all the amazing EZAs as well as LR Trunks and Vegeta, who were still solid at the time. This team wasn't just strong because of amazing cards. This team had the highest HP in the game, making it capable of surviving some of the hardest hitting bosses at the time, even if it was only on a sliver. The second category is Majin Buu Saga, led by LR Tech Gotenks. This team dominated every event with ease. It was basically just all of the new units on a full 200% lead with tons of value. And the third category is superheroes slash movie heroes. All I gotta say about this one is Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo, and most of you will know what I mean. When Piccolo came out, his team became number 1 simply because you could run 2 Orange Piccolos, and the rest of the team was also very solid with tons of variety. Beast Gohan is the exact same, but you had slightly less freedom unless you ran the LR Gammas as your superheroes leader, since everyone from the Tournament of Power EZAs also got the full 200% that way. For number 2, we're going back into 2023 because I strongly believe Earth-bred Fighters slash Powerful Comeback was the strongest team that year, especially against Merge Zamasu. This was one of the most fun and technical teams you could ever run in Dokkan history. This team had everything: revive, nullification, dodge, standbys, and even giant transformations. I've never had more fun than when this team was meta. You had every base covered, yet it still wasn't easy to beat every event unless you played perfectly. This team was led by Tech World Tournament Goku, who had one of the best kits in the game. But the fun part of this team was that even though the variety of units you could run was insane, they would all still work well with each other. And last but not least, with the introduction of the 220/250% leaders, the best leader of them all is definitely LR Gogeta, giving a full 250% to both the 7th anniversary LR EZAs as well as leading the new Vegito, Gotenks, and many other amazing LRs. Gogeta is without a doubt the best leader in the game. Even if he's not the #1 LR, he's still an amazing unit with the best team in the game. As time passes, I'm sure we'll even have 300% leaders someday. Do you guys agree with my list? Did I miss any of the best leader skills in your opinion? Well, you can let me know in the comments if you made it this far. Subscribe and check out some of my other videos that should be on screen right now, and I'm sure you'll enjoy them too. Thank you all so much for watching.